The one thing that everyone should just do immediately if you're a business owner is,
why should someone pay attention to the next 45 minutes?
so if you're a founder or a business owner, I'll just tell you my stats. I booked over 3,000 sales meetings on LinkedIn, 100% organic, spent $0 on ads. I drove millions and millions of impressions every year with 100% AI written content.
What do people get wrong when it comes to LinkedIn?
It's a lot of things. LinkedIn is such a shit platform. It's like someone goes and logs in and they're like, I'm going to use a computer from 1998. And that's why it's so good, because the competition is so low. All I'm looking to do is increase the amount of trust that all my connections have with me. If you pitch at the start, you're like pulling trust out.
What is it in a DM that can help the audience?
There's two outcomes that you want from a DM. So it has to be really personalized and really relevant. Number one, just for them to reply. The second thing though is not an action you want them to do, it's how you want them to feel. I want to give you something else around the cold DM piece. So my business partner scraped 54,000 viral LinkedIn posts. He put it through ChatGPT and now we've created a 41-page report, what creates virality on LinkedIn, and there's only 5 post types. It's contrarian opinion, how-to post, there's an educational type post, there's a lead magnet post, and there's story-based post. So what I do to create viral content is...
Welcome to Chew the Fat. My name is Frank Grief, and I started this podcast after I sold a business for $180 million with my 2 brothers. It's part of my mission to raise $1 million for Children's Cancer Institute by writing a cookbook called Eat with Purpose. In this series, I'm going to bring different types of founders on for you can share in their journeys and their lessons and insights. I'm also going to bring on guests who are in the middle of scaling their business. I want to make sure the challenges are relative to you and make sure you can take insights that you can use in each and every day in your business. I hope you enjoy. Matt.
Yes.
Welcome. So as always, I like to cook a dish for the guests. Today we have a little spaghetti bolognese. And when I say spaghetti, I do not mean that. I mean these little bad boys, which I don't know the answer to.
The nostalgia of mom's cooking.
That's right. And I always like to ask one question.
Yeah.
What's your most vivid memory of a food?
It was probably at my wedding.
Ooh.
So my partner's Indian.
Yep.
And we got married in Goa.
Wow.
And we got married in the Hilton Hotel, and her dad made it into a big thing. And then on the last night, the reception night, there was 75 dishes.
What?
And we tried them on the thing, and me and my friends tried to eat every dish.
Yeah.
And I remember the seafood section was just off its head.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
Love
I just remember going there trying to eat it all, and then we tried to.
Good,
we
man.
didn't get through.
Good, man.
Right.
We'll finish up here and we'll get stuck into the interview.
Awesome.
What do we need to know about your childhood that made you the person you are today?
My childhood.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think people look at me now and they see pretty straighty 180 as well. But I got kicked out of home 4 times when I was 16 and I was like a mess. And during that whole time, like I lived at friends' houses and I wasn't the bad of my parents or anything. I was just really, really lost. And so probably what makes me become the way I am today is not everything, but like I have a feeling of like I wasted time. So when I got kicked out that many times, I left school, I went back and did school at TAFE, got 42 ATAR or whatever it was out of 100. And I was like super lost for years, like similar to yourself. You were a chef. I was a barista for quite a few years as well, working in hospo. So you kind of get into the grind. But I'd say that deep sense of like, I didn't try hard enough probably kind of like forces me what I'm doing now.
Fucking oath. That's good. Oh my God. And how does that show up today? Like how does that element drive your life?
I think a lot of how far like you push and how hard you work comes from how like you have a feeling of you're without something as well. So there has to be like an internal drive of like, I feel like there's this gap from where I am and where I want to be and where I think that I should be. And so I think a lot of that stuff just throughout my life and same mistakes that I did make, I have that deep feeling of like, I need to achieve more. And so, and I need to make bigger impact. I wasted so much time. And so a lot of that drives like, because like you're a founder, obviously you did some crazy stuff like to build a massive business. You got to be a little bit like, do things out of the normal as well. But I think the only way to have that is you have to have this deep desire on the inside to want to make an impact. Because like you can't just like productivity your way there. It has to come from like your core values and core beliefs. And that's the only thing that will keep you going. Let's say you do a 15-hour day and then you're like, oh, should I go to do 2 more hours? It's like, it's the only thing that will just drive you. Like the energy that you have of that deep, I'm missing the word, but like that deep kind of feeling of like, I need to do more.
Love that.
Yeah.
And for everybody who's listening today, right, we're going to get stuck into and really practical around how to use LinkedIn for your business.
Yeah.
Why should someone pay attention to the next 45 minutes?
So if you're a founder or a business owner, I'll just tell you my stats. I booked over 3,000 sales meetings on LinkedIn, 100% organic, spent $0 on ads. I drove millions and millions of impressions every year with 100% AI written content. And LinkedIn is the only platform where it's such a shit platform. It's like someone goes and logs in and they're like, I'm going to use a computer from 1998 with Windows 95. And that's why it's so good, because the competition is so low. Like, that's the reason you want to pay attention. And also that on LinkedIn, the average business owner earns 3 times as much money. And I can look at your profile and be like, hey, I just chatted with Frank, and then I can reach out to 500 people that you're connected to. And so there's so many different things that everyone's just not thinking about it. It's kind of like with LinkedIn, you can be the big fish in the little pond. With Instagram, you're fighting against like people who are just amazing videographers. And like, so if you don't have budget and like you don't have a media team and stuff like that, it's by far the easiest place to start, because there's such little competition. And all like the successful people open up LinkedIn when they're like, I want to feel smart. I don't want to go to Instagram and scroll. I'm going to read some smart stuffs today. And like, you get that frame of your audience when you actually reach out to them.
Well, I'm going to be paying attention to that. That's good.
Yeah.
Here's why you should pay attention. Fucking boom.
Yeah.
So before we get into the world of LinkedIn, you know, one of the big things with people listening is there is definitely a lot of them who are on the precipice of making the decision to start a business. And I know you are a very successful salesperson at Zoom. Like,
Thanks.
what drove you to be able to make that decision to, like, you know, let go of what would be a very comfortable corporate salary to go out on your own?
Yeah. So super brief history. Barista for 8 years, didn't know what I was going to do. Opened a cafe with my brother, went great, sold it. Didn't know what next. Thought I'd do the responsible thing and get a job as an accountant. Turns out for my personality type, it's like the worst thing to do. I just happen to be good at numbers. A year and a half in, pretty much had a breakdown, had to move home with my parents. But after I was chatting to my boss and him saying, I was earning 50 grand a year. And I was like, okay, how do I earn more money? And he's like, pretty much no solution. And I was like, okay, when I get my chartered accountancy, how much money am I going to earn? He's like, 75 grand. I'm like, that's in 3 years. I'm going to be 30. And I was like, yeah, fuck this. And so pretty much had a breakdown, moved home with my parents. And I was like, how do I like make heaps and heaps of money? Like, and that's when I just like looked at sales and I was like, wow, there's a job that you can pay more money, or you can just work way, way harder and make more money. And so that's kind of like how I got the job at Zoom, and kind of like just went through the sales thing. Cause like, it's just the harder you work, the more money you can actually make. Do you mind just repeating the end bit of the question? Because I've lost the end bit there.
No, that's fine. So the end bit is, you know, you're in that job, you're making good cash, but then there's that leap that you now have to leave and go make it on your own.
So I always had this like mysticism when I was like not in corporate job, that I thought everyone in the corporate was really, really smart. And I thought they were like better than me. I had this feeling of like not being as good, maybe from school and stuff like that. And so then I got into corporate and I worked at Zoom during COVID. So it was crazy. It was such a good experience. I loved it. I was there before COVID, during and after, 3 totally separate times as well. And I was earning like, after Zoom, I got another sales job and I was getting about 280 grand a year. So when I'm 30, that's like so much money, right? But it was just the thought process of like, man, if I can just sell for myself and just like make my own money, and then having the drive of owning that cafe before, I was like, man, like I think I can like leave and go do my own thing. But if all goes tits up, I can go back into the sales role as well. So I can just keep doing that and earn the same amount of money. So yeah, I think a combination of different things, but after going through and seeing what was considered to be the best, I was like, man, I think I can work harder. And it's probably fueled by my feeling of like, I'm not good enough from school at the same time.
Feels like there's going to be a common thread here, Matt. I like it. We'll unpack the therapy session later.
Yeah, that's it.
So what did you learn about the process of sales while you were at Zoom?
Like so many things. I think the biggest thing I learned was the power of brand, like that. Because before COVID-19, like I would contact like a legal firm in Sydney and I'd be like, hey, you guys want to get some Zoom meeting licenses? And they're like, nah, we're like old fashioned way. Like we do in-person meetings. We don't use video. And I'm like, oh, what? This is like super weird. And then COVID-19 happened and like everyone wanted to contact Zoom. And so all I had to do was like to get a meeting with someone is I just email them I'd be like, hey, I sent, I think it was like 80,000 emails in a year, just like smashed them all out. And I was like, hey, I'm Matt from the Zoom Sydney office. Do you want to catch up? And they were like, yeah, we'd love to. And I'll help set up your Zoom account. So like the brand kind of preceded me. But then when I left and joined another business where we were just kind of like starting out, we had like zero brand. And then I realized, oh crap, I've got to like cold call and like I have no brand backing. So I think from the sales standpoint, it's like if you have a really strong brand accompanied with good sales ability, it just accelerates the trust building process and accelerates the ability for you to sell more. So I think that feeling of like you really want to try and develop a really strong brand in your niche. You don't have to have Zoom's brand, but you might just have to be known as like the best accountant in Sydney for construction businesses or something like that. But like your brand kind of precedes you. And so brand plus sales, like marketing plus sales, but really brand over the top, just kind of lights, it pours the petrol on the fire for everything.
It is so key what you're saying there. Like, it makes the process of sales that much simpler. You know, I did sales for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years of our business. And people would ask, like, you know, how are you closing these big deals? And like the reality is it's infinitely easier when you have an amazing product and a brand that's getting built.
Definitely.
You know, the craft of doing sales, you're not pushing shit up a hill.
Yeah.
You're just getting better at articulating that brand and that product.
Yeah.
Is fundamental.
Yeah.
So take me to, let's start here.
Yeah.
What do people get wrong when it comes to LinkedIn?
There's a lot of things. One is they just don't think it's a viable option for getting leads. So the old playbook of LinkedIn used to be, I'll go to a LinkedIn lead generation company, they'll pull a list and they'll use a template and they'll just bang out all these connection requests with these messages with 4 backup messages and you'll pay them $1,500 or $2,000 a month, right? That was like the old way. It worked for a period, but now it kind of just destroys your brand. Because if you're reaching out to all these connected people that you know that they know you, like imagine you went to like a networking event or a party and you walked up to someone and you were just pitching them, like literally. Like they'd be like, everyone knows the person who comes in the room and they just pitch everyone and we're like, we don't like this person. Like, and that's kind of like the old playbook of like what worked on LinkedIn. And I think a lot of people still run the old playbook and they've heard a lot of stories from people that they know that like LinkedIn's not viable. It's not a solution and all that kind of stuff. Like it needs to be played a different way. So like the new way of using LinkedIn is posting content relevant to your niche and telling stories and lessons and journey, kind of the basic personal branding principles, you know, or posting you ran a triathlon or whatever, or like posting about you made this big mistake in business to really humanize you and build trust. And then the key is reaching out and connecting with people who are connected to people you know. So if I was going to connect with your connections, I'd go into LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I'd be like, connections of Frank. And then the message I'd write to that person would be like, hey, I was just chatting on Frank's podcast this morning. So awesome as well. Like we had a really great catch up. He fed me some amazing bolognese. So you connected with him. I thought I'd reach out. And I can send that to 200 people with the same message. And so then instead of pitching someone, I'm just forming an actual connection as well. And so they won't classify me in the sales bucket. They'll classify me in the friend bucket. And then I'll just talk to them for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, I'll just say to them, and then they might see my content, they'll see what I'm about, they'll see my positioning on my profile. And then I'll say to them 2 weeks later, hey, I'm actually putting a workshop together for small business owners in Sydney that want to generate leads on LinkedIn. I've got a few more slots left next Thursday. Do you want to come? And so the key is like never pitch, only invite people. That's it. And so the old way was like smashing out all these like cold email strategy. And it's a way to destroy your brand. Like it's so bad. The new way is like connect around your existing network and then have a conversation with them and then invite them to things. Be like, hey, I'm going to work with a few people next month. Are you interested? Or, hey, I noticed this thing about your business. I'm hosting a dinner. Like, would you like to come to the founders dinner? And if you use it that way, it just expands your trust outward and outward and outward. And that's what people get wrong about LinkedIn. They think it's like this salesy, pitchy thing because they log into LinkedIn once every 2 weeks and 3 VA companies have all pitched them with this giant template. And they're like, what is going on? Does this even work? It's because people just don't know how to use it kind of thing.
Fucking hell. I got so much passion going through my veins right now because, you mentioned they're the old way.
Yeah.
The reality is so many people still do that.
It's so common.
It's like the biggest gripe I have with LinkedIn is you go on there and it's like 10,000 people hitting you up with some request.
Yeah.
And there's a real art and a science to being able to properly build a connection and at one stage potentially sell someone compared to you go right in to way too cold and way too brash. Like, someone will try hey, I'm just looking for connections. And you go like, okay, cool. And then the next one is like, hey, you're just following up on this. And then the next one is like, boom, pitch. And then it's like follow up. And it's just it's a sea of noise.
Yeah, definitely.
And the game is definitely one in patience, in like strategic patience, especially when you think about the building of a brand. Yeah. Going straight in. What's really interesting, right, about the LinkedIn's piece is something that not many people know is our business, we use an advisor through the process. So an advisor, let's call that your salesperson who sits on the other end. That was a cold LinkedIn DM that he hit me with.
That's awesome.
And his commission check was $2.2 million for our sale.
So it works.
So it works.
That's awesome.
So let's now dive into the practical application. So you mentioned there around like building trust and building personal brand. Let's get really practical for people. I think about LinkedIn as the gateway drug to building personal brand. So what is it that they can do to start actually implementing?
So the one thing that everyone should just do immediately if you're a business owner is purchase LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's like $150 a month.
Hey, cool story, bro. Eat with Purpose Cookbook has now sold $250,000 worth of books. You know, it'd be a way cooler story if we got to our $1 million goal. So why don't you jump onto eatwithpurpose.net and buy it, please?
So cheap, right? You don't even have to use Sales Nav. It just makes it easier. Then you want to write down a list of who are your best previous customers, the ones that love you, your current customers that love you, and then thirdly, the people that champion you. The people that if they mentioned you, like my old accounting boss, Nick, he champions me. So if my name ever comes up, he's like, oh, Matt, great guy, whatever. So you don't even have to have customers. Have a small list of those people. And let's just start with one. I'll say Nick as the champion. I go into LinkedIn Sales Navigator and I go connections of Nick Shaw. And then I look at the people who are connections of him. Then I build the filters to make it my ideal target market. So for me, it's small business owners, usually less than say 10 employees, kind of for our main program or whatever it is, right? So your target market, who you want to reach out to. And then build a list of 200, right? And you can send 200 connection requests a week without a note. Then all you do is you just click connect, don't send a message to 200 people. It takes you 10 minutes, right? And if you do 200 people a week and 50% of them accept, that's 5,200 connections a year of your ideal clients who don't not trust you, who you haven't pitched. And then all you do is come back a week later, see who's connected to you, and then I'll just say, hey, connected with you because I saw you were connected to Nick Shaw. Man, he was such a great boss when I worked at Shaw Downey. It's really funny. He actually came to our wedding and he was there till 5 a.m. in the morning drinking with us. It was pretty crazy. And then I would just say, how do you know him? Or how long have you known Nick? And I'll just open the conversation as well. And so I can just do that with anyone I previously chatted to or any person that's I built trust with. And all I'm looking to do is increase the amount of trust that all my connections have with me. Because pretty much as you said, like if you pitch at the start, you're like pulling trust out as well. So you're trying to build the brand to increase the amount of trust someone has with you. And one way to do that is through personalization and relevance or like familiarity as well. And so if you just do that every week, after a year, you'll end up with 5,000 connections of your ideal clients that know you, probably trust you a bit and who you've never tried to sell to. And then at the end of the year, you can just say, hey, I'm looking to host a founders dinner in Sydney where I'm going to bring together all founders in e-commerce. Would you like to come? I've got this special guest. 100% they'll come because like you've known them for a year. And so you've delayed the pitch for so long, but you don't have to delay a year. You could just delay 2 weeks and you'll be different to everyone else on the platform.
Okay, so now I'm going to be honest. I am using it in such a different way to what you're describing there, right? Mostly that I'm not going outbound to anybody connections, but I'm sitting there going accept.
Yeah.
But that's the interesting part that you're suggesting, which is I'm sitting there accepting a bunch of people I've never met, which is the version here, which people are going outbound. Yeah. So where does the posting come into it?
Yeah.
Like when you think about the superpower, do you mostly go, hey, it's actually this outbound sales navigator, or is the posting element, is that equally as important?
It's It just depends on where you're at and what skill level you are. Like
Yeah.
if you don't have a high skill level, you just want to connect because it's like the way I describe LinkedIn is a 24/7 networking event where all of your ideal clients are all the time and you can speak to them while you're watching Netflix, watching Beverly Hills Housewife with your wife, and it's so bad you just can't even watch it. So you just got half an hour on LinkedIn, right? You can be doing that all the time. And so the power of that is you always want to expand your network no matter what. Now, when you post content, that's as if you're walking around holding like a banner about something interesting as well. So the more banners you place, the more interesting the banner is of the content, the more trust and awareness that you build. So the reason why you want to only connect with people who are your ideal clients, potential clients, is because you only want to post content that's relevant to them and solves their problems. Because the way that LinkedIn distributes content is it sends it to your first degree connections first. So if I'm posting content about, like I had a client the other day, he sells to accountants, right? He went through our lead magnet playbook to create a lead magnet. He essentially put a post out, like targeting accountants. He got 450 leads because he's only connected to accountants, and he wrote a post saying, this amazing thing about accountants, I'm giving it away for free. Comment this to get access as well. And so if he wasn't connected to accountants and all these people, no one would care. And so it pushed to his first degree connections. And then if your first degree go well, then goes second. And then if it goes well, it goes third. And then virality is when it hits people that aren't even connected to you. And that's how it distributes the content. So if you just connected with a whole bunch of random people, and they read your post about a very specific topic, they're not going to care. And so you're not going to catch the virality or catch the additional viewers of the post itself.
Fuck. Oh, God. It's going to be a lot of me. The crew will just do a trailer of me going, shit, fuck. That's good. Okay, good. So, and then you mentioned something there which I'd be so stupid not to ask you. You said we showed him our lead magnet playbook.
Yeah.
What's that?
So we've created like free mini books, me and my business partner and I. He's kind of like, my business partner, Steve, is the guy that's not online anywhere, doesn't even have a photo on his LinkedIn, right? But he's the tech guy out of say you watch Italian Job, the bank robbery movie, and there's the tech person that everything falls to shit if that doesn't happen. He's the tech guy. And so he put together, we've got 3 mini books now, a sell by chat playbook, how to sell in the LinkedIn DMs, the lead magnet playbook, and also the $1 million email blueprint. And so we've created these mini playbooks that are like about 50 minutes each, and they've all got AI prompts built into it as well. So the lead magnet playbook it's how to create lead magnets that people actually want. And if anyone doesn't know what a lead magnet is, something you give away for free in exchange for them either giving their name, email, or maybe phone number, so you can get them in your email database to signal intent that they might be interested in what you sell. And so in the lead magnet playbook, it shows you how to build a lead magnet. It has an AI prompt how to write it. And it's also got designs in Figma of how to design it with your brand colors and your logo and stuff. And so lead magnets, when done strategically well, especially in a niche, go off. Because if I'm an accountant and I scroll the LinkedIn feed and it says, I'm giving away this playbook that I've used to help this many accounting firms, all you got to do is comment playbook below. They'll just, comment playbook. And so then it feeds the algorithm and it keeps pushing it because more people see it and more accountants see it. And then I had one the other day, a lead magnet that blew up and it got 4,500 comments. That was, 2 weeks ago Friday as well. And it's it's crazy because you give something away for free, kind of the Hormozy play, like you mentioned Hormozy before. You give away something for free, but that's actually epic as well. And that's kind of these books for us.
Yes.
We kind of give away these epic books for free, but we're not writing like some crazy 10-hour book kind of thing like a lot of coaches and stuff do. It's just mini books that we use to fire.
Epic. Now, our first interaction was you a straight cold DM me in LinkedIn. Yeah. I can't stress this enough. I get so many of them a day, and they're all noise, all nonsense, and yours immediately stood out to me. Yeah. Obviously by design. Yeah. So talk me through, what is it in a DM to be able to capture someone's attention that you're doing that can help the audience? Sure.
There's 2 things, personalization and relevance. Those 2 things combined, and they have to, there's 2 outcomes that you want from a DM. So it has to be really personalized and really relevant. The outcomes you want, number 1, just for them to reply. You don't want to pitch them a meeting straight away usually, because then it's a big commitment. It's like when you go, let's say if someone says, hey, get this new chocolate bar, it's amazing, right? You'd be like, okay, cool, I'll just get it and eat it. But if someone's like, hey, go to this 5-star restaurant, I actually got you free free tickets usually $300. It's 2 hours away. It's like, it's great, but it's a commitment. Like, and so people don't want to commit too early. So the first thing is by personalizing it and making it relevant, you want them to reply. The second thing though is not an action you want them to do. It's how you want them to feel. You need them to feel special. If they don't feel special, like you want to write a DM that's so good, they'll go home and tell their partner while they're cooking dinner that they're just like, man, I got this like message today. It was so nice. And so if your DM's not doing that, it won't stick in someone's long-term memory as well. So psychologically, when I was writing the DM to you, as I was watching the podcast with Tom, he's a creator on Instagram, awesome dude, super smart. I was watching this and I was like, man, I wonder if I can get on. All right, cool, I'm going to write a DM. And so the first thing I did is I mentioned Tom, that I was watching the podcast because I was watching it like right then and there. And then I think I just said I went straight into a pitch as well. But I saw that you were previously like you've scaled and built a company. So I was like, you're probably a high D on the personality profile, the DISC profile. So you probably like get to the point really, really quickly.
Spot on.
And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to do a pitch like straight away because I think you respect that. And then I also kind of looked and saw your podcast and was like, okay, Tom's got this audience. Your audience probably benefit from personal brand on LinkedIn. So I just went hard in with the pitch. So I just mentioned I was number one lead gen person in Australia. A couple other things about generating leads. Would love to jump on the podcast kind of really quick. And I think I said I'll fly to you at the end as well because I didn't even know where you were. I actually didn't know as well. Yeah.
It's so good. Like I can't stress this enough because the amount of people, to your point around the meeting, the amount of people I get, and this is for people listening today, when you're thinking about DMing a mentor or someone in business, whatever it is, the amount of ones that I get, and this is the one that annoys me the most. Hey, Frank, love to meet. I'll buy you a coffee. And, you know, in today's environment, a coffee, let's call that $5.50. It's like saying, hey, your hour of time is worth $5.50. Shall we do an exchange? It's actually more insulting than anything else. Like, don't even offer the coffee. It's more insulting. So, like, you know, what you've done there, and I think being able to take away for the audience, that level of personalization, I think where people get wrong is, you know, they'll go in with, let's call it a, you know, a little sandwich and say, hey, really like what you do. And it's just kind of like generic, try to generic, warm and fluffy, and then go straight into something where the personalization, the piece there is like, you can really tell. And the ones I always respond to are people who are, who've spent the time to understand because you know, okay, you know enough context that you kind of get it. Yeah. You know, we're sitting here on the left of me, right of you is Braith. His first cold DM to me on LinkedIn was, hey, you know, I'd love to come to the founders table. I'll do what's required. I will wash dishes. And I'm like, okay, cool. This sick. You know, he gets it. I've had one from WA, another one of my team members, Ben, and it was like, you know, personalization to like, I've listened to these podcasts. Here's what the value I can provide. You really have to just think about it from the lens of like, who am I speaking to? And to your point there is like, think about like the DISC profile of a person and like what's going to be of value. Because I think this is what people get wrong. And what I love about sales is a lot of people think about the numbers. So when it comes to, let's say, a cold call, they'll be like, okay, I do 100 cold calls a day, 5 days a week, blah, 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 blah. How good? Just get my numbers done. For me, I'm like, how do I cull down the frequency and volume, and the ones I do have more impact on them, so I can do less and have a higher return. And I think that's exactly it. It's like, oh yeah, I could send out 100 LinkedIn cold messages, or what if I did 10 and those were curated and I increased my strike rate? What are your thoughts on that style of approach?
I want to give you something else around the cold DM piece. So when I look at like selling to someone, I look at there's a spectrum of trust. Someone's either a complete stranger or they're a trusted advisor, right? And so my goal is to take them to here because like if my brother tells me to do something or my wife, I'm just going to do it. I trust them completely, or my business partner. So like there's a spectrum here. When you cold DM people, you actually go worse than a stranger. You actually damage your reputation, especially if it's a bad cold DM. Like I chatted to a lady that works with lawyers and we were just DMing on LinkedIn and she stopped messaging after we were having a good chat. And then she sent me this essay message around how she went with this LinkedIn lead generation company. They destroyed her whole brand because they set up automations that pumped messages to 20 of the same people at the same company. And she started getting text messages one day from all these people being like, what are you doing? She didn't really know because she didn't look in the LinkedIn inbox and stuff, destroyed her reputation, just decimated it. So what I think a lot of business owners don't know is like, you can actually destroy your reputation and smash it within your target market. And especially if you have a small niche, why are you doing that? Like it's even worse. So on the cold DM piece, you go further back. You go into the level of like real bad salesperson, icky salesperson as well at the same time. So you really have to think about like, it's like basic rule in copywriting. Say it out loud. Like before you send that message, just say, speak it out loud, listen to yourself as you do it. And if it won't make the person feel special, don't send it. Like, and you've got AI and stuff now. So just like say, hey, I'm going to send this message. How do I make someone feel special? You can kind of talk about it and stuff, but just don't use like the danger of templates. If you're untrained is very bad. If you're very good and you understand it, you can use a template. So like a template that I'd use with you, right? Let's say after today, we were chatting and I'm like, okay, I want to try and reach out to Frank's network, right? I'd reach out to 200 people and I'd send them a note and be like, hey, so you connected to Frank. We're just chatting on the podcast this morning. He made me a mean bolognese. Man, his house is so nice in curl. I wish I could have a house like that. How long have you known Frank for? And I'd send that to 200 people. And that's a template that works well, but you have to be trained. So it's better to write it all individually when you first start, because otherwise you won't just like, someone won't be like, oh no. It's like, they'll be like, you salesperson, decrease trust as well. And then if they see you out or if they know someone world's getting smaller, you actually damage it. That's why it like drives me insane when people use LinkedIn lead generation companies and the lead generation company has not had experience in sales. They don't understand persuasion. So they're just thinking from like cold email bros who are like 22 years old and they're just like, I'm gonna smash a bazillion messages and like someone will respond because they receive a cold email while they're walking out of the board meeting. And they're like, oh, yeah, wow, we were just talking about that in the board meeting. 1 in 50,000. That's what they're trying to do. But LinkedIn's attached to your face. It's totally different. Like you wouldn't let someone walk into a networking event as you and just speak and let 21-year-old with no experience program that. Like you wouldn't let them do it. So it's just so different as well.
Love that.
Yeah.
The next mini book you talked about, which is I still believe very relevant today, is about the emails.
Yeah.
So what is it about emails that you could teach us?
It just depends on the format. But I think one thing that people all get wrong on email is they start a newsletter. It's like the worst thing to do.
Why?
Because the way people's brains work now, so the only newsletters somebody will read, so if you start a newsletter, it's fine because you've got such a strong brand, like it doesn't matter. And people respect your opinion a lot. But other people who don't have a strong brand, especially in their niche, if they start a newsletter is commitment. If I sign up to this, I'm getting 2 emails a week. I don't want 2 emails a week. That's commitment. It's like, why am I going to do it? So it actually detracts people from opting into your thing, especially if it's not a niche newsletter. So let's say it's the productivity newsletter, bad. If you say it's the newsletter for accounting firms that sell to construction companies in Sydney, then it's okay. You can call it that. So it has to start off really niche. The better way to do email is you want your email to feel like a little nugget of goodness when people receive it randomly. You don't know when it's coming in. It's 100% plain text and like it actually gives them value. So an example of email. So when someone opts in for my lead magnet, we've got about 20,000 people on my email list. Like I sent an email out the other week and the subject line was golden gay time. And then the story in it was like, hey, at 9 p.m. last night, my wife was grabbing a golden gay time. So I had 3 options. 1, tell her we're eating healthy, not a chance. 2, it was walk up to the servo for 15 minutes and come back and miss Law and Order SVU. 3, pay the $4.99 Uber direct fee and just get it straight away. And then I said I chose number 3 because business owners shouldn't be doing everything themselves. They should pay for it. And then I kind of did it into a sales email. So you want the email to feel like a chunky, like nice bit of goodness when they read it and they open it up and they're like, oh, this is a nice surprise. Instead of putting you in the newsletter market of the people that they don't care. Because in newsletter, like if you have a really established brand, that's fine. You can do that. But if you don't, you're competing with you. It's too hard. Like you've got such good accolades and everything that you've done. It's like impossible. So it's better to, with email, just go straight plain text. Don't tell people when you're going to email and just include value in it. Like I'll do an email where I'll be like, hey, one of my clients, Nick, who's got a business with 4,500 employees, got 450 leads from one post to accountants. I've actually got the lead magnet playbook here. Would you like me to send it through to you? And then people just reply back, yes. So keeping like this interactive, personal thing, which they're really looking forward to that chunk of goodness instead of going like more direct and newsworthy if you're starting out. Now, if you've already got a really big established brand, that's like very different, but that's like barely anyone probably watching this.
Okay, there's a few things that are standing out to me as we talk today, Matt, and one of them is this concept that I keep hearing. It's like the regardless of the medium, so far we've talked about the posting, the DM, the emails, every single one of these mediums, you're having a moment where you're building your who you are, and it's a personal touch. Yeah. And I think something I've been thinking about a lot lately which is about the rise of AI and how easy it has become to smash all of these different social channels with, quite frankly, really vanilla content, as well as emails. Like I'm sure you're starting to see it. You see these highly structured emails come through to you and you're like, cool, that's clearly a ChatGPT email. Yeah. I can slightly appreciate the concept of you can't be bothered to write an email, but actually if you put your self in the shoes of the person receiving it, it's actually annoying. Yeah. Because you're creating fluff for the sake of fluff. And so recently I've been having these conversations, especially with people in AI, where they're double downing into like hyper personalization, where it's like, not perfectly capitalized. The email is like clearly from a human's point of view, it's a bit more direct. What are your thoughts on like, how do you need to change now that AI is coming into the space of content?
I think what's going to matter more with AI is just your skill level and what you are good at. So the problem with AI is like you can just make unlimited content, but you can make unlimited crap content. So if you don't have good taste, like you can't actually QA the thing to even know it's good. Now we're in March 2025, whatever it is. I think in 6 months that's going to completely change, and so it won't even matter. But it's really hard that if someone doesn't have taste, like I don't understand design, right? I look at like a Tesla and I'm like, they look pretty nice. I couldn't tell you why. My business partner is very good at design. So he'll describe to you the angles of why it's good and all that kind of stuff. It's the same with copywriting. So I think a lot of people don't have the skill that's good enough with copywriting because they haven't invested the time in learning it. And the great thing about AI is you can learn things a lot faster as well. So it's kind of just like with the cold DMing, taking that extra point of actually writing something that's different and unique, but you can get to the level of where everything, like all my content for the past month is 100% AI generated.
Actually?
Yeah. And I drove 2 million impressions on LinkedIn as well. So 100% AI generated, 3,150 leads came into our CRM, phone number, email, and name as well. 100% AI generated, but it's because I know how to use it. So it's like what's happening is you'll get someone with like no skill at a very specific thing and then they'll try and do it. And they don't understand why it's going wrong because they can't see the million little details and little things. So I think what's actually going to happen with AI is it's going to separate the people who are kind of polymaths who are like very good at copywriting, sales and stuff. They'll just go so much further because other people are just putting so much crap out. And so everyone just turns out for the crap and then everyone just tunes into the good stuff. So it's actually making my output way higher and way better. Like I can talk about tactically how I do it and stuff. If you want.
I'm like jumping. Even if the cameras went on right now, I actually don't even. Hopefully, people find this interesting because I'm fucking desperate to hear this. Let's get practical.
Okay, so how I write my AI content right now. My business partner scraped 54,000 viral LinkedIn posts from all different creators that had virality for all of them, different niches, different everything. He put it through ChatGPT deep research, and now we've created a 41-page report, what creates virality on LinkedIn, and there's only 5 post types. It's contrarian opinion, how to post as an educational type post, there's a lead magnet post, and there's story-based posts. There's only 5, and they've all got different flows of the post each. So what I do to create viral content is I write down ideas about something that happened. And so like, let's say I've got a story, I could talk about some specific ones as well, but let's say I come up with a story about like something happened. So I watched the Stephen Bartlett interview where Daniel Priestley debated this guy called Stephen something. And I was like raging in that interview. And so I wrote a post that got, I think 35,000 impressions, which is pretty good, nearly 400 likes or something like that. But all I did afterwards is I have the viral stuff and I put it into ChatGPT and I use the $200 a month one. I've added every LinkedIn post I've ever added in there as well. I exported every LinkedIn DM that I've ever sent of all time. And then I say, okay, cool, I'm going to tell you a story about me watching this and the whole thing. And then I need you to turn it into a viral post. So it's not just like a click of the finger. It's all my injection of the thing. And then it wrote the viral post. And then I QA'd it and went back and forth 5 times. And then it created the post as well. And so, but it's basing it off what works for virality on LinkedIn. But you want it to be your unique angle and take. It needs to be slightly different because if you just go classic viral, you don't actually build brand. So a lot of people on LinkedIn would see a post that's a billboard that says, managers don't care about you, stand up for yourself. And like all the employees sitting on the toilet at 9 a.m. after their coffees are just like, yeah, I like it. You know what I mean? Like, and so it builds their brand, but all it does is it builds their recognition. They don't actually build a brand. So people are just like, oh, you're that guy who posted that billboard thing, but they don't have any substance to the brand. And so what you want to do is it needs to be your unique take, your unique angle, but plug it into what virality looks like for LinkedIn as well. And then that gives you content that makes your brand stand out and people see you as like, okay, you don't have this exact opinion, you have this bit of opinion, but some people will kind of hate you, some people will like you. And then you're making sure you're using the format that works. Like that's the key.
Is that the key there? Because when I hear you say I went back and forth 5 times, the counter position in my mind is like, well, wouldn't it be easy just to write it straight up? Is it because of the format that it's putting out?
So sometimes I do write it first and I quickly just smash it out in 5 minutes and then I put it in and you elevate it. And so I can show you what I did this morning later on after this, but like all I do is I put the post in, sometimes I've half written it. Like, I was at a mastermind on the Gold Coast this week and there are a lot of really successful business owners that spoke, and I wrote this one post about how I was sitting in a room with a whole bunch of 7 and 8 figure business owners. There's 25 of them, and then I told them my lead gen process and they couldn't even believe it, and how someone in the room actually got heaps of leads. And then I was like, hey, if you want the same thing that they got, click this link. And so I told that story of what happened, and then it just tweaks it into virality. So it's my words. It's just put the words where they should be to make it a lot nicer for the platform as well. And so you're still tweaking it, but it kind of like, it's like you just elevate what you're already doing. And then I say to the GPT is I say, okay, how do what level of virality is this out of 10? It'll go 8.5. How do I make it a 10? And then can I answer some more questions to make it go viral? Okay, keep going. And it doesn't 100% guarantee that your post goes viral, because virality is random. It just has to catch at a certain point, but it increases the likelihood that it can go viral or get a lot more people actually reading it as well. And so I just want to be able to put out the best content as well. So it's like if I've got 15 minutes, I'd rather write it for 5 and consult ChatGPT for 10 instead of writing it for 15. So it's just elevating what I'm already doing.
Love that.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting point. So I just said, love that. It's my default position. But the interesting point here is, I think, is this is where a lot of people get wrong with AI. Is they think it's purely an efficiency game, i.e. I can do something faster. And that's cool. That's great. Yeah. But actually it's about productivity gains.
Yeah.
So, you've just said one takes me 15 minutes, the other one takes me 15 minutes. I've saved no time. But if the net difference is it's more productive and it gets seen by more people, well, fuck, that was actually way worth it compared to saving a couple of minutes here and there.
It's like, you don't want to look at it exactly what you said. Like, you don't want to look at it as I can just do things faster. How do I do it better? Like, how do I make something that's just so good that people would really want it? And so, like, not last Friday, but the Friday before, I spent 2.5 hours deep diving ChatGPT in the morning with the deep research and stuff. And I built a 26-page report on everything that's working for me on LinkedIn. And I was like, I'm going to post this. Okay, cool. How do I write a viral post that it does this? And the post hook was something like, I just uploaded 412,000 DMs and 742 posts into ChatGPT, and it gave me this crazy result. And then I was like, I bought the $200 ChatGPT this morning. Here's everything inside it. And I had a scrolling GIF of the document that was 26 pages. But the GPT told me to do the scrolling document. And then I said, comment, I think it was playbook. It was comment WTF. Because it told me to do WTF because people would feel that. Comment WTF you want access. It went crazy. So it's nearly at 300,000 impressions. But it's got 4,500 people that commented WTF underneath who want access to it. And it's targeted towards business owners who I sell to business owners. And so we've just got like unlimited leads coming in as well. We just can't keep up with the platform as well. But it's because I tried to go for quality instead of quantity. And that's what's, I think, we talked about this before, but like the content or the quality of content, like, if you just put out mediocre crap, like no one cares. And so now with AI, it's more of like a quality game that you're trying to aim for instead of a quantity, because everyone can do quantity now. Everyone can write a B+ email, but like who can write an A++ email that really blows people's socks off, because that will get 10 times more attention.
Because the really cool part there, right, is like pre-deep research.
Yeah.
To just, I've just gone and done 40,000. Like it's like either impossible or very time and expensive.
Yeah.
Where now you have this tool and quite frankly a first mover. You know, I speak to a lot of the business owners at the founders table.
Yeah.
Usually the strike rate's roughly 2 out of 10 people are using AI, and only usually 1 out of 10 are using it in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And so something like that, it's really cool because, deep research that. Like my first use case of that was 3 weeks ago when it just got launched in Australia, and my mind just went
crazy.
Like the explosion of something as simple as let me give a practical takeaway. One of the things we want to do when you start a business is the problem I'm identifying, is that a unique problem or are other people experiencing it?
Yeah.
So we took our business idea, I fed it into deep research, and I said, find through Reddit, LinkedIn, anywhere that's relevant, people talking about this problem, stack rank the potential product features that we'd make based on the most commonly asked problems, find me the competitors, and it gave me a 20-page report ready to go to build a business.
So good.
It's like...
It's insane.
It's crazy.
It's insane. It's like crazy. The speed that you can move is just like... I think what you said before we were filming and stuff on this is that it's going to become distribution that matters more than anything. Brand and distribution, because you'll be able to soon click your finger and create something. And so the only thing that now everyone's just going to be looking at, like, how do I trust someone really quickly? Because I've got all these purchasing things that I can purchase out there, but how do I trust someone really, really quickly? And that's when they're going to look at brands, people that have established things as well, because otherwise everything is just going to be created so fast. 100%. And so it's like marketing, brand, distribution, sales, like, because soon everyone's just going to be able to click a button and be like, have a business in a box, essentially. And so how are you going to differentiate from everyone else? That's going to get weird though.
It's going to get so weird. That's a whole other podcast for another day. Yeah. We need like a 3-hour Joe Rogan deep dive existential crisis for that one.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't mind sharing, just so I can understand the magnitude, like from where you started in 2022, you said?
Yeah. This business, I started, like I launched my program in May 2023.
2023 to today.
Yeah.
How much revenue is that driven?
I can't remember what we've collected, but our business now, we do about $280,000 a month.
Yes.
That's what we do as a business. And
Amazing.
it's pretty high for like a coaching business as well. We do margins at a bit over 70% as well, which is cool. That's the nice thing about coaching businesses as well. We don't spend any money on ads. And my business partner and I, we just go 100% all in. We're just 100% all in on tech and keeping our team small as well, and just bringing in weapons and just pushing digital scalable products as well. And so we've got a couple of software programs coming out as well. So one, a LinkedIn DM product we've got coming out, which is going to blow the socks off. What it's going to do, you'll like this. It's going to read every conversation that you've ever had. It's going to understand your avatar completely. And what it does based off that is if you go to someone's profile, or before you even go to the profile, it lead scores them out of 100, and it also lead score their DIS profile. So it tells you what their DIS profile is, everything about them, who they're connected to. And then as you're chatting to them, you can't see it anywhere. It's like an overlay. So you're in the regular LinkedIn DM inbox, because LinkedIn doesn't like automations and stuff. So we've got to make sure it abides by their terms. And when you click a button, it uses our sell by chat playbook and the prompt in there, plus the whole conversation you've had, and it prompts what to say next. And so you'll just be able to pick from 3 options of what to do next. So you can have people who are like not even trained messaging, and they'll quickly learn what's good at the same time. So we're building that, which is one thing. We're building another tool, which is going to be called Growth Mode. And where it is, one of the biggest struggles that most business owners starting out have is building landing pages, lead magnets, funnels, emails, all that stuff. We're essentially building a product that they essentially come in a few hours of onboarding. They've got their whole website. They've got all their funnels, all their lead magnets, how they can do emails and all that kind of stuff, but it's designed nicely as well. Just because most business owners, they go out and they spend 30 grand on a website that's just nothing. It's just pointless when they should be building just a funnel essentially. Like, or if anyone doesn't know what a funnel is, it's just like a way to capture leads. Like that's really the purpose of your website, especially when you're starting out and stuff, is like you need to capture a boatload of leads to reach out to. Like, the brand authority and stuff matters to an extent, but that's when you kind of get further up with positioning and stuff like that. But most people need like a usable system instead of going out there and buying HubSpot and it's like 15 grand. If you get the enterprise version, I did that. That was my mistake. And like you spend 15 grand and you never use it. And so you just need a really pulled down CRM with all the stuff. So you can be like, oh, I want to make this lead magnet. And you record an 8-minute video, you fire it off to your email list and you just get leads. Because I found that's the biggest barrier with business owners. They kind of like have all the information of what to do. They just can't execute it. So they need a tech person, but then the tech person doesn't have the business context.
Yes.
And so they can't even fathom what's going on anyway. And so then they bring in consultants and this, and it's kind of all just pointless. Like if you should just have a system where you can just whip it up yourself and then you can just like deploy everything as well. So there are a couple of things that we're building now.
Sick. I'm keen to see those.
It'll be fun.
you got yourself your first lead maker here. I'll be signing up. So as we start to round off, I think I want to, for people listening today, the common misconception, which I had when I started the personal brand game was, well, my customers don't live there. And so I'm not going to do it. For me, it was Instagram. I was like, well, my customers don't live there, so I'm not going to start a personal brand. So I'd actually really love for you to share like some of those businesses that have started LinkedIn through your knowledge that you've shared and the impact that it's made to them really practically.
Yeah, I think that what's happening with content now as well, especially what's working very well on LinkedIn, is niche specific content. So that one guy I mentioned before, he only sells to accountants, right? I got another client, she only sells to national disability insurance providers in Australia only, right? They don't use LinkedIn like at all. And like if you see all of their stuff, if you go through them, half of them don't even have a photo. They got a photo from 10 years ago, right? And they're just like, it's not even anything. She posted one lead magnet and the algorithm is good enough that it pushes it to the right people, and she's been actively connecting with them. She got 1,300 comments of ideal clients. And you look in the comments and you're like, these people have never logged into LinkedIn for a long time. But like the algorithm's good enough to push niche specific things that it will at the same time as well. Like we've got another client who he only sells to people who work in the big four, like Deloitte and all those Ernst & Young accounting firms, that want to get a job in mergers and acquisitions. It's in Australia. That's all he sells to. He put out a lead magnet about breaking down Qantas's discounted cash flow model. 7,000 comments he got from that as well. So like what happens with LinkedIn, what's working now is niche specific stuff. Like I got another client who sells to, I don't even know what they are, AEC professionals who want to become BIM coordinators. I don't even know what that means, right? Like I have no idea, but like he says that's what he does and he only posts about that and he gets boatloads of leads. He's got a massive email list because algorithms, the way they work now is like if you go very niche specific and you're an expert, it distributes your content across someone else. But what most people do is they make the mistake of talking about productivity and like leadership things and all this. And it's like, you're fighting against the people that are the best. So why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just fight against where no one exists as well? So I think there's just like there's a billion people on LinkedIn, right? It's like, do your customers really not live there? Like it's the only thing I wouldn't use it for is if you sell really low ticket products, no, I wouldn't use it like at all. It has to be B2B or B2C high ticket. So mortgage broker, buyer's agent, real estate, or someone selling B2B who it's somewhat expensive. But if you go down the route of like trying to generate leads from your e-com brand, you're probably better off on Insta and TikTok and stuff. But it's just LinkedIn is just, I think, why would you, like, let's say you got two computers, right? Why would I pull out the laptop that's from 1998 with 512 mega RAM and is on Windows 95 and use that versus the brand new Apple, right? I think that's why people haven't been using LinkedIn, because the platform is so bad. You log in, you're like, this sucks. And then you log in the Instagram, you can get caught in there for 4 hours and you realize you're like in a daze, you're like, I woke up, like kind of thing. And that's why I think the opportunity is so good, because no one's fighting there. And so I'd rather be in a place and be a big fish in a little pond than like a little fish in a big pond kind of thing.
Love it. I have one last question.
Sure.
So for someone who's listened today and they're like, great, what's my first practical step to get going?
Exactly what I said before. Was just adding 200 people every week. So if you rewind back to that, that's exactly what I do, and start having conversations. We've got like on our website, we've got a start selling on LinkedIn course. It's for free, 5 days. We've got all our books and stuff that we give away completely for free. It's mostly though, like taking the action of messaging people that you know. You don't even have to start by posting content, because I know for a lot of it, people, especially who are experts, let's say they're 40 plus, there's this real weird imposter syndrome that they have around posting content. Don't even post content. Just comment on other people's stuff with your opinion. That's better. So just get in there and comment. And then, over time, if you start having these conversations with people, don't treat it like a sales transaction. Just talk to them. It's like you're talking to your existing network. And then over time, if you're like, actually, I like this is something I want to do, then you can invest and actually do stuff. Because if you just try and invest in something and you're not convinced, you won't do anything as well. But if you are convinced, that's when someone can take the next step. But it's just actively using it. But for some people, they may start doing it and be like, I hate this. I will never do it. That's fine. Don't do it. Like, but for the some people that do it and they do connect with people, talk to them and stuff like that, then that's when you want to kind of like double down if you enjoy it.
Love it. Yeah. Matt, this is an absolute fucking masterclass on LinkedIn. I'm looking forward to getting stuck in. Thank you, my man.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.